Welcome into Jungle Tales, a pirate baseball podcast. We appreciate everyone tuning in whenever and however you're watching or listening, whether it's right now live on YouTube or Facebook, archived on either of those platforms, or on Spotify. We continue to take a look at the 2025 ECU recruiting class. Today we are joined by Carlos Jacome. Carlos, we appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
No doubt. Definitely familiar with you, obviously, with you having been in the American Athletic Conference as a South Florida Bull last season.
Yep.
And we'll get to your time with USF. But, take us back. I know you moved to the United States at the age of 13, but tell us about growing up in Venezuela. Obviously, the game of baseball is just absolutely huge there. Played with a tremendous amount of passion. So what was it like growing up there in Venezuela?
Yeah, for me, Venezuela is home and will always be home. Moved to the U.S. when I was 13, so we're about to. It's about to be our 8-year anniversary here. So I haven't been back, but like I said, it's home for me forever, for my family. And like you said, baseball is different over there. Baseball's life. Um, every game, it doesn't matter if you're 6 or 18 or 15 years old. Every game is like an ECU baseball game. It's packed out. The fans are all in. The players are all in. And I'm sure you guys have seen videos all over the internet about the winter league that goes on over there, and that's just how it is. It doesn't matter what level you're playing. The fans are all in, players are all in, and it's just every weekend it's just baseball all over the country.
So you make that transition to the United States, Miami, at the age of 13. You have obviously a very good high school career, Christopher Columbus High School. You make that decision to actually go the JUCO route, but prior to going to Miami-Dade and becoming a Shark, you were committed to the Stetson Hatters. Tell us about your recruiting process. They're coming out of high school.
Yeah, so my recruiting process started early. Towards the end of my sophomore year, I started to get some attention from a few schools, and my high school was always kind of like they had a really good connection with the Stetson Hatters and the head coach over there. So they saw me play that summer, and I played well, thank God. And they decided to give me an offer, and I decided to commit that same summer. And towards my senior year, looking how college baseball was, we just decided, like me as a family and myself, we decided that it was best to just go the JUCO route, get some more experience. And I mean, Miami-Dade was just right around the corner, great coaching staff, known for winning baseball games, and we just decided that it was best for me to go there, get some experience, and then make the transition to D1 baseball.
Working in reverse a little bit, I got a little ahead of myself, but as you made that transition to the United States, talk about some of those changes and just that process.
Yeah, at first it was a little bit, let's just say I thought it was a little boring because, like I said, I come from a place where baseball's life and every game is packed out and it's loud and you got people heckling. And then here, youth baseball is a little different, at least where I played it. Um, it's kind of more like recreational. There's not much emotion to it and stuff. So I thought it was a little bit boring, and it took me some time to get adjusted to it. But I've always played what I like to say the Latin brand of baseball, which is play hard, play aggressive, don't be afraid to make mistakes, and if you do make an error or you strike out, just go out for the next at bat or make the next play.
And not only getting acclimated on the baseball side of things, but just moving to a new country. What was that process like? Just outside of the game, and trying to combine those two things and clearly excel at baseball and academically.
Yeah, no, for me, it wasn't really that hard, and I always thank my parents for this. I was in a bilingual school since I was 3 years old, so the English was not a problem for me. I came in with a very good English. Obviously, it got better throughout the years, but I came here and I didn't have any trouble with the language and with school and stuff. But it was definitely a transition, getting used to how things are done here. Um, just the new culture and stuff. But now we're very acclimated to the situation, and coming to Miami helped because Miami is a really, there's a lot of Latins here, so it kind of made it feel like we were somewhat close to home.
During your time at Miami-Dade, you hit 309, 5 home runs, 15 doubles, right at a 500 slugging percentage. You also stole 18 bases. Um, Tell us about your time with the Sharks, and then you know the success that you had there, where that took your recruitment coming out of JUCO. You opted to move on to the Division I ranks after just 1 year.
Yeah, so I've always liked to say that going to Miami-Dade was the best decision I made because out of high school, I don't think I was ready to play D1 baseball. And going to JUCO really helped me just put my head down and grind, just go to the cages, just go to the field late at night with my teammates and just get to hitting, understand the game a little bit better. Kind of, it's good competition. Florida JUCO is definitely good competition, and you got some really good arms. But it's definitely not D1 baseball, especially depth wise. Once you get to the bullpen, so it really helped me to polish my game and kind of understand where, like my hitting approach, kind of understand the speed of the game. So that was really big for me. And then making that transition after just 1 year a day, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for sure. I still talk to my head coach from JUCO. He really helped me throughout this whole portal process and stuff. Uh, but it was just a decision that we really my dad and I we really like to see things like, hey, opportunity only comes once, and if you miss it, it might not be there again. So I had the opportunity to move on to D1 baseball after 1 year, and we sat down as a family and we talked about it. We weighted the pros and the cons of staying and then leaving, and then we said like, hey, God forbids next year you get injured, or God forbids next year you don't have as good of a year, and then this opportunity doesn't come again. I think it's best for you to take it right now and see what we can do at the D1 level.
Moving to the D1 level at South Florida, you played for a very successful head coach in Mitch Hanna's, coming over from Indiana State. Um, I guess you had grown up being pretty much strictly a shortstop, correct?
Yeah.
So tell us about that transition, getting to South Florida, and then seeing that you're going to be the starting second baseman.
So we didn't really know who was gonna play short second until like a few weeks before the season. So kind of the fall, I train at shortstop, and then preseason moved to second base. But I like to think of shortstop and second base as mirrors. They're very similar. There's a few stuff that are different, but it's very similar. I feel like if you played shortstop all your life, it shouldn't be that hard to move over to second. For me, my biggest problem or transition going to second base was just how much time you have. I was sometimes towards the beginning of the year, I would rush some plays where they didn't need to be rushed because I was used to the timing at shortstop, and moving to second base, you had more time. So that was just one of the things that I struggled with early, but I kind of made an adjustment after that and played the game and played the ball at the right speed.
If you're watching live right now, we're joined by Carlos Jacome, the new Pirate middle infielder, committed to ECU about a week ago, um, during the final week of June 2025. If you're watching, and feel free to chime in with your questions or comments for Carlos. But Carlos, what went into the decision following the 2025 campaign to enter the transfer portal?
Yeah, so USF I think is going to be a great program for years to come. Coach Hannes is definitely a really good coach, and I learned a lot from him. There was just a few stuff that towards the end of the year that wasn't my style. I wasn't happy the way that things were going like towards me. Like I said, but they're gonna be great. I think it's gonna be a force to reckon with. It's gonna be a really good team this for the next few years. So I just decided that it was best to move on and kind of see what other opportunities could be out there after the year I had at USF. But USF is for sure going to be great, and it's not going to be an easy series next year for us when we play them at home. So it's definitely not going to be an easy series.
We have a comment here from my co-host John White, who's actually at the beach and unable to join us this morning. But John, my bilingual co-host, has a little message for you there, Carlos.
Gracias, gracias.
Appreciate you chiming in, John. Definitely. Any other questions you have for Carlos, please submit those as well. But the portal process, you mentioned your JUCO coach helping you with that. what programs did you consider? And then we'll dive into the relationship that you were able to develop with Jeff Palumbo, obviously Cliff Godwin, and staff at ECU.
Yeah, so early on, I got some interest from Louisiana Tech and Gardner Webb, and then a few weeks went by. ECU uh, sent me an email, and then Wake Forest and Boston College also got interest. Those were and UCF was also interest in that same week that ECU came. So those were kind of the main programs that were really talking to me and kind of wanted to know where my head was at and kind of offered me. Um, so yeah, I think those were 6 or 7 programs that were really interested.
And then how did you hone in on the Pirates? Obviously, you were quite familiar, having played 5 games, against East Carolina this season, late in the season, 3 down in Tampa and then 2 over in Clearwater. In those 5 games, you had 7 hits, including a 3-hit game in the first game of the conference tournament. But how did that relationship get started, and then what made you really excited about the Pirates?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, playing in the American and playing at USF, you always hear about ECU, how great they've been for the last 10 years. So when we were playing ECU, I really wanted to see, because I didn't really know ECU, what style of baseball they played, and then we played ECU in the conference tournament. I saw how tough they were to beat, and I kind of saw why they've been so successful in the last 10 years. So after the season was over, and then Coach Palumbo sent me that email, that was like, hey, that's the style of baseball that I like. I like to win. I've always been in competitive teams. Like you said, I came from a great high school where I lost, I think, 10 games in 3 years. So I wanted to go to a program where we could win, we can compete for something, and no one does better. No one does that better than ECU and Coach Godwin and Coach Palumbo.
Stephen Igo of Hoist the Colors had an excellent article with you in the day or two after you committed, and in that article, he highlighted just how impressed you were with your visit in Clark LeClaire Stadium, which kind of leads me to a question here that I had from Mike Radford, diehard East Carolina fan from nearby Wilson, North Carolina, and Mike says, if you would, ask Carlos if he's ever seen or attended a game at Clark LeClaire. As I mentioned, the series this year was, of course, down at South Florida. But going back to your high school recruitment or just on TV, or YouTube videos, what have you seen of Clark LeClaire Stadium in the jungle?
I remember watching the Wheels highlight video when ECU played the Super Regional against Texas, and I saw the atmosphere, and it was just incredible. Like the fans, it's almost like they're part of the game. It's almost like they're in there with the players, and I love that, because that to me just gets me fired up. It just gets me. I just want to play better for them, and I know that at any given time they have my back. They're gonna support me. So that for me was a main factor. Like that atmosphere is just something that you dream about. So when I came into my visit and I saw Clark LeClaire for the first time, I was really impressed. But what makes that place special is the atmosphere and the fans that go there every weekend. Like ECU, I think is in the video that Coach Godwin sent me. I think they're 13th in the nation in attendance, in average attendance, and that's what makes this place special for sure. So when I saw that video on the scoreboard, I was like, wow, yeah, this is a place where I really want to play. So that honed in my decision for sure.
Yeah, and that's a common theme and a common response from East Carolina recruits, the impact that Pirate Nation and the ECU fans has on their decision to play for the Pirates. And you mentioned East Carolina has been consistently in the top 15 nationally in attendance, and it really is an SEC type environment.
Yeah, for sure. So when I saw videos, I was like, hey, it doesn't get much better than this. It doesn't get much better than this. This stadium is packed. It doesn't matter if it's a midweek against an out of state school, or if it's a weekend against UNC. It doesn't matter. The fans show up, the fans support, and that to me as a player, it's important to feel that support, because baseball, there's a lot of up and downs. Hopefully not so many downs, but there's a lot of up and downs, and it feels nice to know that the fans have your back and they support you all the way through.
Clearly, one of the selling points on East Carolina was the opportunity to play shortstop. In addition to the atmosphere at Clark LeClaire, the winning tradition, the chance to play shortstop. What are some of the other things that perhaps really interested you and sold you on ECU?
I mean, basically, it was a track record. ECU has been great for the last 10 years. Coach Godwin and Coach Palumbo, they know how to win. Coach Palumbo has a very good track record of getting infielders drafted into pro ball, becoming better infielders. Coach Godwin handles the hitters really good, handles the game in general as better than anyone else. So it was basically like, hey, if I want to win some games, and out of the other programs that were interested, ECU was the one that won the most amount of games in the last 10 years, and they're consistently in regionals, they're consistently in super regionals, they're hosting, they're consistently the top 20. So for me, it was like, hey, it's a great coaching staff, it's a great atmosphere, it's a great field. Obviously, opportunity to play. I want to play shortstop, but I understand that I got to earn it. I got to come in and earn that starting job. So it's just the opportunity to play, whether that be second base or shortstop. Uh, and um, and just a track record, winning program. I want to win. I want to do whatever it takes to win. I want to play. I haven't played in a regional environment, in a super regional environment. So that's one thing that I want to do before my college career is over.
Offensively, I mentioned your ability to hit for average, also with a little pop in your bat. You had that 497 slugging percentage in JUCO, and then you also hit 4 bombs this year at South Florida, and drove in 34. Uh, so, what's a couple of your focal points in the all season as it pertains to your swing and your offensive game?
I wanna. So I've been talking to Coach Godwin and Coach Palumbo about this. I want to keep who I am because that's what makes me successful. I want to be a table setter. I've always said that if I'm in the lineup, I'm hitting 1-2 in the 1-2 spot or 7-8-9. I'm not in the middle. I do want to tap into more power this year, but I want to do that by getting stronger and developing more bat speed, not changing my approach. Because 300 for me is a goal every year. I want to be a 300 hitter. I understand the type of player I am, so I want to be a 300 hitter every year. So far, I've been able to do it. But I do want to tap into more power this year, kind of hit the gaps a little bit more. I felt that if last year I hit some balls that if I was a little bit stronger or if I have a little more bat speed, those balls could have been doubles or maybe over the wall. So that's just something that I'm working in right now in the off season, just making sure that I get stronger, I develop more bat speed, and kind of fix a little holes that I had in my swing to be a more complete hitter and kind of and be more dangerous when I'm at the plate.
And you talk about being a table setter. That's one of the things that stood out to me. Not only you hitting for average, but also cutting down on strikeouts. Having a good strikeout to walk ratio, and then also your ability to lay one down. That's a staple of an East Carolina offense. Whether it's a guy like yourself, or a guy that may lead the team in home runs, they have the ability more often than not to lay a bunt down. And there's some that may grow frustrated by that, but personally, I think that it's it adds a tool to your tool belt as a team, so to speak, and it just makes you more difficult to defend.
Yeah, for sure. Coach Palumbo said it best when I was over there. He's like, hey, if you lay one down and you make the defense worry about you being able to bunt, then the corners come in and now you open up the holes, the 6 hole and the 4 hole, and now you have more room for error if you get a ground ball through there and it becomes a base hit. And like you said, it just opens a lot in the field if you're able to lay one down. And it's very tough to defend. I mean, I saw it this year at USF when we were playing ECU. Even with 2 outs, we're thinking we were playing bad because we're thinking there's no way they're gonna bunt it here, and they drop one down, they get a base hit, RBI, and it's just really tough to defend. And now we got to put the corners in, and now they shoot one in the 6 hole, it's another base hit. So it's definitely really tough to defend, and it makes the defense stay on their toes and makes the infield coach on the other side just be like, hey, well, how do I got to position these guys because they can do everything.
The type of success East Carolina's had under Cliff Godwin, it clearly takes a lot of elements coming together. One of those elements is the mental game and just the buy-in to the culture. Tell us what you learned about that on your visit and the relationship you've developed over the last several weeks with the coaching staff as far as the mission week and the role that plays in building the foundation for the success that's to be had.
For sure, culture. The East Carolina culture is amazing. It feels like everyone is buy into each other. Everyone is into the team. Everyone buys into the culture. That's why East Carolina has been so successful, because everyone is bought in. It doesn't matter whether you're playing. It doesn't matter whether you're a platoon guy, or it doesn't matter whether you're not playing that much that year. You just bought in. You wanna do whatever it takes to win. It doesn't matter if that's dropping down a bunt. If you're not swinging the bat well, it doesn't matter if you're swinging the bat well and you have to drop down a bunt. Guys don't care if what they got to do. So that was another main point for me. It's like, hey, it's not always about selfish. It's not always about, hey, I wanna hit 350 with 15 homers. Like, hey, if I want to drop down a bunt, if I gotta drop down a bunt to make sure that we got guys in scoring position, I'm gonna do it because I want to win. Last year at USF, from one of the coaches, I learned that the most important offensive stat is wins. It doesn't matter what you do in a game as long as you're winning. The point of the game is to score more runs than the other team. It doesn't matter how you do it. So if you got to drop down a bunt, if you got to hit a backside ground ball to move over a runner, if you got to hit a if you can hit and hit a sac fly to get a run in there, then that's what we got to do to win.
Before we move on to some non-baseball or non-East Carolina topics, um, Mike Radford chimes in once again saying, here's one that he hasn't seen or heard. On the road, the Pirates will often have 2 or 3 times more fans than the home team. Whether it's at Campbell, Charlotte, Elon, all those regional matchups. ECU travels very well.
Yeah, no, I saw that a little bit this year against us. Actually, we were playing Florida State at home, and that was the only game that USF sold out. And I think it was like 80% were FSU fans. So that's awesome to see that when you go on the road and you have your fans with you, and they're supporting you in what's not your home field. It's great. It's awesome. I love that.
So, Carlos, I believe I saw that you're majoring in business, and clearly East Carolina has had a lot of success on the field, but also in the classroom under Cliff Godwin. Just several semesters now in excess of a 3.5 or 3.6 team GPA. What was said to you about the academic approach?
For sure, academics was a big part for me, especially for my mom. My mom is the academic side of the family, and she's been very tough on the academics since I was a little kid. So that was one of her main questions when we went to ECU, and we saw how much Coach Godwin and Coach Palumbo and the whole coaching staff basically cares about guys graduating from the school, and that made her very happy because it's important to have a plan B. I want baseball to work out. I've always said my plan A is to make it to the big leagues, and then plan B is to make sure that plan A doesn't fail. But it's also important to have a plan B, and that's where my mom comes in. And she's always been really tough on academics, and she wanted to see how the coaching staff handled academics. And Coach Godwin does a great job. And Coach Godwin really cares about academics. I mean, being a 2-time All-American, academics wise himself, he does a really good job and won over my mom just basically by the rules that he has. If you miss an assignment, you can't practice, and then if you can't practice, you probably won't get on the field. So that was really important for me and for my mom to see. So yeah, no, that was a very big factor for us when we made the decision.
Yeah, Coach Godwin, as you mentioned, was an academic All-American back in the day, and he jokingly says, I'm not the brightest guy. He said, so if I can do it, he said, they can do it, and you have to learn to do hard things. But that's a nice segue there. You talk about the dream of playing in the big leagues. Who were some of your favorite teams, or your favorite team, I should say, and then your favorite players? You were a Miami guy, from 13 years on. So are you a Marlins fan, or who do you pull for?
No, I'm not a Marlins fan. I've been a Houston Astros fan since Jose Altuve got to the big leagues, because that's my favorite player. That's my current favorite player. Now, if we go more all time, it's Omar Vizquel. Uh, Jose Altuve, it's basically just because he me not being the biggest guy, like you said, you have it on screen. I'm 5'9", 180 pounds. He showed me that you don't have to be 6'4", 6'5" to make it to the big leagues. So he was the one that kind of solidified me that, hey, playing in the big leagues is a possibility if you work hard. And since he got to the big leagues, I mean, I've been following him all his career, and he's been with the Astros through his whole career. So I kind of became an Astros fan because of him. And then more all time, Omar Vizquel, because he played for my favorite team back home in Venezuela, and he was one of the greatest shortstops, in my opinion, to play the game. And I've always put a lot of emphasis into my defense. When I was little, I was more defense first and hitting. And then I developed more hitting when I got stronger and I got bigger. But till this day, they always ask me, "What's your favorite part of the game?" And I say taking ground balls. Nothing compares to taking ground balls. I love taking ground balls out on the field and making plays in the game.
And as a Pirate now, I know it's great to see guys like a Connor Norby playing. I know you're not a Marlins fan per se, but you have him playing for the Miami Marlins as the third baseman, and then you have Clayton McCullough, an ECU product, as the Miami manager.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, ECU has a really good track record for getting guys drafted, and that comes with Coach Godwin, Coach Palumbo, and the winning culture that they have. Because scouts like winning teams, and they go watch winning teams. So that's another accolade that the coaches have over there at ECU, and it was another main point for me on my recruiting process. But they do a great job of getting guys drafted, developing when they're at ECU, and that has been my dream since I was a little kid. So that was another main factor for me. Just I know I got to do my part to make that dream come true, but I know that they're gonna help me through it.
A couple more questions for you here, Carlos. Kind of bigger picture and just a little about you. What are some of your hobbies, away from the game of baseball when you're not training and you're not grinding to make yourself a better player? What are those things that you enjoy doing?
You know, I just like spending time with my family because my parents sacrificed everything when we moved to this country. They had everything back home. The situation wasn't good for us, so they decided that it was best for us to move to another country and kind of have look for better opportunities, not for them, but for me and my brother. So I just like to spend as much time with them as I can. Now that I'm going, I've been away for college now last year, and then this upcoming fall, I'm going up to Greenville. I just like to spend as much time with them because I know how much they sacrifice. I know how hard it was for them to make the move. So whatever activity we can do together, whether that be going to the beach or go out to eat, go to a baseball game, anything that we can do together, like something as simple as just sitting down and watching a movie together. I like doing that. With especially with them, with my family, my brother, my mom, my dad.
You mentioned your brother, Juan Jacome, what class of 2027? Tell us a little about him.
I mean, I've always said he's better than me at his age. He needs to get in the gym and start eating a little bit more so he can get bigger. But his ability, he's way better than me at his age for sure. He hits the ball harder. He has a lot more feel for the game, which is important. I mean, he's at a great high school with great coaches. He's developing. He's doing a great job. He's putting in the hard work, and I think he's going to be a great player. I've always said like he's a little bit stubborn. A little bit stubborn. I tell him a few stuff that I failed in, and so he can do it better. But sometimes you just gotta let him go and run into a brick wall and then come back and ask for a lot of questions. But he's getting better at it. So I think he's going to be a great player for years to come.
One of the questions we always ask guests here on the show, whether it's recruits or former players, do you have any favorite baseball movies?
Oh, favorite baseball movies. 42. 42 is my favorite baseball movie for sure.
Nice. I have not had the opportunity to see that yet. Definitely look forward to it, even though it's clearly been out several years, but I have heard it's excellent. But look forward to checking it out. Any parting thoughts for Pirate Nation? When will you be arriving?
Yeah, no, I just wanna thank Pirate Nation for the welcoming. I mean, all the messages on social media and the comments on my post when I announced my commitment has been great. I can sense that Greenville is a great baseball town, and I'm sure that I mean, myself and the whole team is going to be supported by you guys. I will be getting to campus around mid-August. I think we're supposed to be there August 21st, but I like to get there a little bit early, get situated, kind of get my living situation together and all that. So I'll probably be getting there between the 10th and the 15th.
We do have one more question from my co-host John White. He said, "Did Carlos catch the inside the park home run and grand slam last night by Wilyer Abreu at Fenway.
I didn't see it live, but I saw the highlights this morning, and it was great. I mean, he's having a terrific season for the Red Sox. Um, he's been awesome. Hopefully, he gets a call for the World Baseball Classic next year, and gets to represent Venezuela in those games.
No doubt. Carlos, appreciate your time. Really enjoyed the half hour, and I know Pirate Nation will, whether they were listening live, or they're listening to this archived on YouTube, Facebook, or Spotify, will enjoy getting to know you. But I'm very excited that you're making that decision to be a Pirate, and look forward to hopefully getting to know you once you arrive in Greenville.
For sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and looking forward to meeting all you guys at the field during games and stuff. So for sure, go Pirates.
Pirate Nation, that is Carlos Jacome, the newest East Carolina middle infielder, as you can see there on the screen for our viewers, at Jungle Tales Pod on X, Instagram, and YouTube. And we can also be found on Facebook and Spotify. But that will do it for this edition of the show. We'll talk to you soon here on Jungle Tales. And as always, go Pirates.